Goodbye for good for the team? Apparently not. Season 5, and not the final season, of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5 deals with the aftermath of the previous season, in which pretty much their world came crashing down. The S.H.I.E.L.D. facility that they had built up over the last 2 seasons got completely destroyed. After S.H.I.E.L.D. became a government entity again, they got their name dragged through the mud. Everything was going bad for the team. And even though Season 4 ended with them defeating their enemies, because of everything that happened, they were just awaiting their arrest. And that's pretty much how the last season ended, just on that big cliffhanger of awaiting what happened and then Coulson later on waking up in space. And so Season 5 starts off right when they're in space. It deals with them arriving in an unknown place, and right away they're already under threat. They're disoriented, they're separated, and so it just deals with them first trying to come together and trying to figure out exactly where and when they are. So when this season was being written, the writers actually had it ready to be the last and final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They thought that the show potentially was going to get canceled or put on hold, and as such, the writers finalized a lot of plots and stories that had been present since the first season. And as you're watching it, if you've been watching every other single season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it very much feels like there's some sort of finality with this season. Obviously now we know that there's going to be a whole 2 other seasons with everything that's happening outside of the actual universe when it comes to just TV shows being rearranged, being canceled, Marvel absorbing a completely new array of characters. The show is going to continue to exist. Despite that the show is going to continue on, it doesn't make this season any less great. It's a really good season. It has a lot of great action. It actually makes you unnerved a little bit because of their situation at the beginning of the season. With that original plan of potentially ending the show after this season, there's so much callbacks to all the previous seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A lot of the characters from back in the day either make reappearances or they're mentioned, and even some of them have some sort of resolution by the end of the season. And as in previous cases, the show still has that midpoint break because of that finality feeling to the season, as opposed to in the past, it doesn't feel like 2 separate seasons with a continuing small plot line. This one very much has a break, but it's still a whole continuing season from beginning to end. And like I said, I really enjoyed this season. I don't think it's as good as possibly Season 3 or even Season 4. It's still a really enjoyable time when you're watching this season. What's great is even though it's in its 5th season, the show still continues to introduce a lot of great and really cool things that exist within the larger cinematic universe within Marvel. Things like the Nightmare Dimension, showing a lot more of how Kree civilization works, as opposed to in previous seasons where they show a lot of the Kree just being either soldiers or very militaristic. Here they show that, but they also show how expansive and how aggressive the Kree are in their imperialistic ideas and values. And I think that's great how they start to show some of that, knowing full well that a lot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be going cosmic. Another great aspect of this show is the concept that they introduce of potential multiple timelines and multiple dimensions, something that was introduced in Doctor Strange. But here they really run with that in one of their plot lines. So much so that it's great to see all of the characters interact with each other and grow their development in the season once they know that the actions that they're taking potentially can affect the timeline that they're living in. Some of them feel that they're just destined to repeat the loop, that there's nothing they can do about this. Some people are very hopeful that they can change their timeline, that they fear for the future. And some of them feel that they will try to change it, but they almost feel like the actions that they are taking are inadvertently causing that timeline to actually happen. And so it's great to see all the characters bounce back and forth between the decisions that they feel they need to make as a team. And I think the fact that this show and this season specifically really can tie itself to a plot like that, again, is because of a lot of that legwork that they've done over the seasons, in which the show is really just thriving on its own while still being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that they could potentially show something as, oh, the world ended in the future. You would think that some of the Avengers or other heroes might have stopped that, but the fact of the matter is that potentially in one of the timelines they didn't. And so it's this team's job to fix that. And it's great to show that this team of S.H.I.E.L.D. has a responsibility to potentially reverse the effects or fix what they need to fix. And overall, the main reason why I really enjoy the season, but it's not one of my favorites within Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's the resolution at the end of the season. As the season went on, again, it was having a lot of callbacks to the previous season. It was progressing to a certain point, and then it almost feels like it falls flat. The ending itself works if this was the final season and there was nothing else coming and there was nothing else to look forward to. It closes a lot of storylines, but at the same time, it left a lot of unanswered questions. And it almost feels like they wanted to do both things but couldn't settle on one. Because they weren't 100% confirmed that they were canceled, they have the finale and they have the resolution, but it doesn't feel like a true one. And so that's where I feel like it falls a little bit flat. But on the other side of that, because they didn't know what was going to happen after the season in regards to if they were going to continue on, it also feels like they don't really dangle any future plot lines. It almost feels like those old Western stories where they have the hero ride off into the sunset, not specifically saying, oh, well, then they did this and then that's how the story ended, but rather they continued on some adventure, but it's okay, we don't need to tell that story. I can get over the fact of that ending because I know that there's more coming, but everything prior to that works really, really well, and it's a really fun, really enjoyable season. Both of the parts in between that mid-season break are done really, really well, with the first part feeling very much like a revolution story, one of the team feeling really desperate and feeling like they need to come together to solve the main issue, with the second one being very broad and very universe-changing. But let me know what you guys thought of the newest season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.